Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Hey, and good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to catch our drift. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed.
Good afternoon.
Ed Bonderenka, good to have you along.
Thank you.
I'm becoming to rely on you all the time now, man. You're not just my straight guy anymore.
Sorry, don't touch the
Don't
microphone.
touch that. Don't touch. No touchy. So welcome to the show, and what we do every Saturday is go over the news we put on thedailydrift.com. It's the news you need to know, and if you're not going there, you should. Go to www.thedailydrift.com and catch that news you need to know. I spend a lot of time trying to put all that information together for you.
Yeah, take advantage of his hard work.
Yeah, it's the stuff you don't get on the mainstream media, and you can actually have that emailed to you for free. Get a subscription at thedailydrift.com, and it'll email right to your box. You don't even have to go to the website, so makes it real easy. Our sponsor this segment is First National Bank of Howell. You can go to www.fnbh.com and call up Angie McFarland, 734-449-7242. It's local banking at its best. They've got a number of branches, but one of the best branches that I like a lot is right at M36 and US 23. So it's got real easy access. They got some great hours. They got some great services and products for savings and checking and investment. So call up Angie McFarland, 734-449-7242. Tell her you heard it on The Drift. And again, you can go to www.fnbh.com. That's local banking at its best. Okay, so Ed, I had to rely on you this week. I'm going to vent. I heard Linda and Pastor Rick venting, so I'm going to vent as well. So DTE, shame. And I'm not yelling at the guys who are actually out there doing the work, but whoever is in charge administratively of taking care. I got a call Wednesday and text from my fire chief. Yeah, you got not to worry you, but there's electric lines on your house and lines sparking. I'm like, oh my God, my house is burning down. I got 2 dogs in the house, right? And but he said, no, it's fine. They've managed to turn the power
They're not
off.
live anyhow.
So, but the problem is, and it's the one big pole in the easement between the houses behind us and our houses. And so one big tree came down and pulled the main power pole over, right? Which pulled the pole by the side of my house over. So they're both canted in a scary thing, right? The only thing I think holding our pole up is the cable line. And
thank you, Comcast, right?
Yeah, thank you, Comcast. There's something good. They did strong enough wire to keep the pole up. And so you would think that that's pretty important because, you know what, if the power somehow comes on, it's going to start my house fire, right? Get a house on fire. And that happens, happens all the time. So it has now been, as Pastor Rick, longer than the big blackout of, 2004, whenever year that was. And it's crazy, And so I want to tell people, you know what, Rhino Rick, you screwed us when you allowed only, 10% in the energy bill. You can use the alternative electric providers that are out there. I think it's 10% is what they limited it to. So I'm going to tell everybody out there, you know what, if you have the option of changing from DTE, do it. Do it. Whatever you can do to screw DTE like they screw the rest of us over. Our rates are high, and I heard someone talking about the utilities underground, blah, blah. Nonsense. No,
you can't. It's economically unfeasible. I mean, I forget what the cost per mile of digging
even
up
boring
and putting
it?
everything.
No, but you bore it now, like Pastor Rick said.
So it's very expensive.
Well, either way. So here to make matters worse, back in October, I think it was, a guy came by from DT and said, hey, I'm going to be clearing the back line, that line back there. Do you want me to leave the wood behind for you? I said, yeah, leave the wood. I'll burn it up eventually. Just cut it and leave it. Never came.
Oops.
Never came, never cut those lines, those trees that knocked the line down. Thank you very much, DT, you imbeciles, for not fulfilling. How many months are you behind schedule on clearing the line? The guy came out, they scheduled, he marked all the trees. They won't even be marked. God knows what's left after the storm. But they failed miserably in clearing that line. They knew it was a problem, and yet they did nothing. 6 months later, they still hadn't cleared it. Then the storm comes and knocks the tree, which knocks over the power line, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
You know what? I've had it. This is what happens when you get monopolies, right? Poor service, high rates. This is what happens. They can give us the middle finger all they want, and that's what they're doing.
For fear of contradicting you,
You can contradict me.
I think the DTE is now two different divisions. One sells the electricity, and the other delivers it.
Yes, it's what is it? IT.
ITC. I think.
ITC. That's it.
And so basically, you're still going to have the same people in charge, even if you moved your electricity service or your deliverers or your provider.
Yeah, the lines will still be
the lines
ITC.
are still the lines.
But therein lies the point. They did that for a reason, because they were worried that they would lose their monopoly and whatnot. So they've taken the energy side away and now they've got the infrastructure side, which are the lines. Well, that's fine and dandy. So you know what? Charge however, but doggone it, take care of it. You know, they just kind of screwed us from one monopoly to next. They're just preparing to lose that, but they'll still hold the monopoly on the lines. What they should do is give the energy provider, whoever ends up the majority energy supplier in that, should get control of the lines. That's just me.
I think you're blaming DTE, and you need to blame God. It's just an act of God.
And God did nothing wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
but along those lines, stuff like this happens. It just happens. You could be better prepared for it. My problem with DTE in this case is they have an app for the phone, and it's a power outage app, and you can see when stuff's going to happen. And I can understand in the early hours of the catastrophe, there's some confusion. But their website did not agree with their app, and they knew it. They knew that their website was not correct. And that kind of stuff, you can do that when the power's working. They just screwed up there, Royal.
Right. Yeah, listener Ton Bellinger just texted through House Bill 4220 is in committee to be voted on this Tuesday, the 14th. It provides the utility choice and meter choice. Let's break the doggone monopoly. I won't use the words that she used, but thanks, Ton, for that. I'm never comfortable with monopolies, and maybe I would be if they were really good, but I've got that energy app, right?
Yeah.
And they were out within a very short period of time to cut the power to that dancing cable line in the back before it set my house on fire. And you would think those guys that were actually there stopping it, chopping, and they chopped it so there's like 4 houses. The 2 in back and the 2 in front, everyone else still has power. Thank God my neighbor Josh, great guy, thank you Josh, ran me at least one line so I can keep my fridge or something.
I didn't realize it was like that for you. I didn't realize that you were isolated out because of that
just
down
like
line.
4 or 5 of us. Everyone else still has their power. The guy across the street's got the power. Both one side of me, there's 2 of us that don't, and on my street, and then 2 behind us or 3 behind us that don't have it. I mean, they chopped it that close. I'm like, how could you chop it that close and not figure out how to fix it? Well, anyway, those guys that did that should have submitted the report that, hey, 2 poles bending over, line on the roof, should be kind of urgent before you set somebody's house on fire. Because feel so discredited with them that they'll fix the one in back, turn the power back on, and burn my house down because nobody even knew that and I've made several calls, my wife's made several calls, and that app says nothing.
Yeah.
We are aware. That's it. When you talk to them, you might say, yeah, we're going to send somebody out to investigate. You already were out here and you looked at it, you know the lines are down on my roof. Who didn't file that report? Yeah.
You know, along those lines, I was teasing Pastor Rick in the last hour. It called in and it said something about the verse in the Bible about foolish virgins and wise virgins. And basically, it talks about there are these people awaiting the bridegroom to come to the bride's feast in the Gospels. And some of them, they ran out of oil for their lamps, and they couldn't buy any. But the smart ones, the wise ones in the Gospel, they are prepared. They brought extra. And so the message is that, in a sense, be prepared or don't run out of what you need, in that case for salvation. But in the long run, there's a good message there. We're in Michigan. It might be a bright, sunny day. Buy a generator while they're still on the shelves.
Right.
I felt so bad for my neighbors. I wanted to run a cord from my generator over across the street to their house. But I can't do everybody in the neighborhood.
No, you can't. No, I got one line from Josh, which we run the fridge so I don't lose the entire freezer goods, and I can turn my generator on from 8 in the morning till 8, 9 at night. But it's loud. I don't want to screw the whole neighborhood by running it constantly. And like you, have yours tapped in the right way. Mine's not. I'm just running cords, and I've thought about it for years, and I'm an idiot with electricity, so I don't touch it. But anyway,
Foolish virgin.
Foolish virgin, yes. But luckily we have some gas fireplaces, which keeps the house warm, so I'm not worried about that. But I'm also on a well, so I got no running water. So I'm here in the station, Linda. All those buckets of water you see there are mine. They won't be here very long. I promise. I'll get them out of here. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to let you kind of run the show because you did the homework this week.
Call in, folks. Lots of call-ins.
Lots of call-ins. We got some great tracks that Ed's lined up for you, so we're going to call it the Ed Show, coming back on the other side of the break. We'll see you there.
What does it mean for a country when its citizens turn on the news and expect to be misled? Because the reporters who once served as freedom's fearless watchdogs feel like distant characters in a fading memory. Today, too many journalists are just actors, playing to their boss's script. Why tell the truth when you can sell a lie for more? There's a price to pay for all this dishonesty. If the free press won't protect free people, it's our job to demand they do it. Do the work you say you do. Aim your First Amendment against hypocrisy and corruption like a hammer of the people. Kick down the doors of any leader who deceives us, and never tolerate dishonesty from your own ranks. That's what the good guys demand. We're the 5 million men and women in the National Rifle Association of America, and we will not play alone. Join us today.
Future's looking better and brighter every day. We're neighbors and friends who stand beside you all the way. Always there when you need us. People you can trust. Your family and future are always safe with us. We're making your future more predictable. Farm Bureau Insurance.
For all of your insurance needs, contact Bill Heft in Ann Arbor or Rick Eater in Chelsea. That's Bill Heft in Ann Arbor or Rick Eater in Chelsea.
Working together the best that we can be for your security. We're making your future more predictable. Farm Bureau Insurance. Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Derek Stone with 60 Seconds on Sports. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver and former Central Michigan University wide receiver Antonio Brown has signed a 4-year contract extension for a whopping $68 million, making him the highest paid receiver in the National Football League. Brown has become one of the best playmakers in the NFL during the last 4 seasons, as evidenced by his 481 catches for 6,315 yards and 43 touchdowns. The Pittsburgh Steelers receiver has received many accolades during that same time frame, like being named First-Team All-Pro 3 times, Second-Team All-Pro, NFL receiving yards leader, and Co-American Football Conference Offensive Player of the Year 1 time each. I'm Derek Stone, and this is my 60 Seconds on Sports.
You're listening to The Drift on Wham Talk 1600. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now, back to your host, Gary Wellings.
And thank you for tuning in. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed.
Hey.
Good to have you along. We got Ken wants to call in about the power outage. Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that if people are going to live in Michigan, they need to stop being wimps. I mean, think about it. I mean,
you're calling me a wimp.
What about all these people in the past when we didn't even have electricity coming in the house, and they survived an entire winter? I personally, in the past, went a whole week in the winter without any power, and I did just fine. I think that people just need to plan ahead, have proper clothing, have supplies. We
have
just
a
can't
sod
be
house
wimps,
and
man.
a peat burner in the living room, and yeah.
Well, I'm pretty protective.